Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Asia Society India Centre and the Asia Society Museum, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to the Asia Arts Game Changer Awards, India. The awards is a signature annual gala celebrating the best of contemporary art from across Asia. My name is Rashmi Dhanwani. I'm the founder and CEO of the Artex Company, and I will be your host for the evening. As we gather here today to celebrate the exceptional Asia Arts Game Changers for 2021, we're honored to welcome members of the Indian and international arts communities, as well as Asia Society's Global Arts Council and trustees. We begin this evening's ceremony with a musical performance by award-winning composer and singer and creator of the Sufi Gospel project, Sonam Kalra.
Thank you so much, Rashmi. Good evening. It's very special to be performing for the Asia Arts Game Changer Awards 2021. I believe that finding a unique voice to tell one's story is the most important thing one can do as an artist. And it is that uniqueness and thinking beyond what one believes to be possible that makes an artist a game changer. This past year has been an absent year for the whole world. We've been absent from our lives, our work, our friends, and in many ways our lives have been absent from us. The arts community has been one such community that has really felt this absence. For arts practitioners, it's been an absence of communication, expression, inspiration for some, and income for others. But one of the things that I've noticed is that in all of this absence, what has been present has been humanity, kindness, community, and a coming together like never before despite the distancing. People have reached out to strangers across the world to help ease their loneliness and pain, to help financially, physically, in whichever way they've been able to, because this time there has been a shared grief, a shared anxiety, and a shared understanding of this hole that the absent year has left in all of us. And that has been a huge learning and perhaps made us evolve into being better versions of ourselves, better to each other, and hopefully better caretakers of this planet. My hope for the future is that we remember this absent year, because it was in this year that we learned the importance of being present, present in the moment, present for our families, for our friends, for strangers. We became aware of the smaller things and learned to value the blessing of the gift of life. So remember being present. Remember the coming together. Remember speaking out for those that needed us and need us. Remember looking beyond yourself, being the voice of the voiceless. And most importantly, remember that we need each other, always. I would now like to present a piece that speaks of just that, of the power of the collective voice. While the power of the individual voice is strong and important, it is only when we come together that power becomes change. These words, written by Pakistani poet Faiz Ahmed Faiz, remind us to use our voice and our lives for good. Speak out because your lips, they are still free. Your body, it is your own, and this life is your own. When I composed this, I took the liberty of adding a few words, a pertinent refrain, which speaks of us coming together. Bolo, ek awaaz hai hum. Bol.
बोल के लब आजाद हैं तेरे, बोल ज़बां अब तक तेरी है, तेरा सुतवा जिस्म है तेरा, बोल के जा अब तक तेरी है, बोल के लब आजाद है तेरे, बोल ज़बान अब तक तेरी है, तेरा सुतवा जिस्म है तेरा, बोल के जा अब तक तेरी है। देख के आहंगर की दुकान में तुंद है शोले, सुर्ख है आहन, खुलने लगे कुफलों के दहाने, फैला हर एक जंजीर का दामन, बोल के लब आजाद है तेरे, बोल ज़बान तक तेरी है, एक आवाज़ है हम, बोलो एक आवाज़ है हम, बोलो एक आवाज़ है हम, बोलो एक आवाज़ है हम, एक आवाज़ है हम, बोलो एक आवाज़ है हम। बोलिए थोड़ा वक्त बहुत है, जिस्मो ज़बान की मौत से पहले, बोल के सच जिंदा है अब तक, बोल जो कुछ कहना है कह ले, बोल ये थोड़ा वक्त बहुत है, जिस्मो ज़बान की मौत से पहले, बोल के सच जिंदा है अब तक, बोल जो कुछ कहना है कह ले, बोल के लब आजाद है तेरे, बोल ज़बान तक तेरी है, एक आवाज़ है हम, बोलो एक आवाज़ है हम, बोलो एक आवाज़ है हम,
Thank you, Sonam, for that beautiful performance. The past year has been a tumultuous one. The excitement of the new decade was followed closely by a global pandemic. As the world went into lockdown, we saw familiar infrastructures and modes of being changed before our very eyes. The pandemic has caused tectonic shifts in society, economy, culture, and politics, shifts that have forced us to pause and reevaluate our priorities as we negotiate a rapidly changing world order. Individually and collectively, we've been dealing with immense challenges we would not have been able to meet if not for the work of our frontline workers and essential service providers from across the world. We would like to take a moment to express our gratitude to those who continue to put their lives at risk to combat the virus. At a personal level, amidst the chaos and struggle we've witnessed, our communities have found ways to tap into hidden reserves of resilience and humanity. And now, as South Asia battles a terrible second wave, there's a compelling need to reform and plan for a better, just, and sustainable future for us all. At such a time, the arts have demonstrated yet again the unique ability to transform ways of thinking, refocus our energies, and offer solace in trying times. This evening, we want to acknowledge this power as we come together from different parts of the world to celebrate the arts. It is heartening to see several friends and colleagues from across the US, Europe, the Middle East, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and beyond here with us tonight. We welcome you all. Before we proceed, a little bit of housekeeping. This program will run for 1 hour, and the awards will be presented in 2 categories, the Asia Arts Future Award and the Asia Arts Vanguard Award. The evening will conclude with another rendition by the wonderful Sonam Kalra, after which I request all of you who are joining the private VIP lounge to sign off and log into the unique link that was sent to them. I also encourage all of you to keep that little chat box on your screen active. Feel free to send in comments, messages, and questions throughout the program. I would now like to invite Inakshi Sokti, Chief Executive Officer of the Asia Society India Centre, to give the opening remarks.
Thank you, Rashmi. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us from across the world for the 5th edition of Asia Society's prestigious annual Asia Arts Game Changer Awards India. The Asia Society India Centre, which is now 14 years old, has become an important forum for the discussion of regional and global affairs and is increasingly recognized as a leading source of art and cultural programming. As a global initiative of the Asia Society Museum, led by our museum director, Michelle Yoon Maplethorpe, and held annually in Hong Kong and New Delhi, the Asia Arts Game Changer Awards have carved a niche for themselves in the arts community and have given impetus to artistic exchanges and cultural initiatives. Ordinarily, the Indian edition of the awards would have been held in New Delhi during the India Art Fair. And while we miss the excitement of the art fair, as Rashmi rightly said, we are living in exceptional times. And exceptional times do call for extraordinary measures. After much deliberation, we felt it was important to build on the legacy of the awards and to come together as a mark of solidarity and support to the arts community. The 2021 edition of the awards are therefore taking place virtually today, allowing us to transcend geographical boundaries and to welcome a diverse audience from South Asia and beyond. Tonight, we're delighted to welcome all of you, artists, curators, collectors, patrons, art enthusiasts, students, trustees, and members of the Asia Society family, as you join us to celebrate our 3 honorees and the mission of the arts. To commemorate this 5th edition of the awards, we also have a very special offering, a limited edition artist portfolio featuring prints by some of our previous Asia Arts Game Changers from India. I'd like to thank Arpita Singh, Ghulam Mohammad Sheikh, Abir Karmakar, Benita Persial, Prabhakar Pachputi and Vibha Galotra, our artist patrons, for their generous contribution to the portfolio. A very special thank you to Abhay Sardesai, who conceptualized the portfolio, and to Riya Mehta, who created the graphics and design for this project. In addition to supporting our global arts and culture initiatives, proceeds from the portfolio sales will benefit Creative Dignity, a volunteer movement spread across India working on craft relief, rehabilitation, and rejuvenation. We'll share more details about this during the course of the evening, so do stay tuned. On behalf of the Asia Society India Centre, I'd like to thank everyone that has made this evening possible. Firstly, our co-chairs, Pheroza Godrej, Sangita Jindal and Radhika Chopra, and members of our Arts Committee, Mukita Javeri, and former India Centre CEO Bunty Chand, from whom I had the privilege of taking over earlier this year, for steering the planning and execution of these awards. We are humbled by the unparalleled generosity of our supporters for this evening. Our arts and culture partner, Bloomberg Philanthropies, our Asia Arts Vanguard Award sponsor, the Kiran Nadar Museum of Arts, the Asia Arts Future Award sponsor, the Durjoy Bangladesh Foundation, our media and streaming partner, Harkat Studios, and all our outreach partners for their support. Our immense gratitude to everyone who participated in the videos on our honorees and to our members whose continued patronage keeps us going. Without taking up any more of your time, welcome once again, and I hope you enjoy this evening. I'd like to now invite Kevin Rudd, President and CEO of Asia Society, to say a few words.
Well, thank you, Anakshi, and good evening and welcome to the Asia Society Game Changers Awards India 2021. We've all been following closely the devastating COVID crisis across India and across many of its neighbours, and our thoughts and our concerns and our prayers are with you at what has been an extraordinary difficult time for you all. The Asia Society's purpose is to navigate shared futures for Asia and the world across policy, business, arts and culture, education and sustainability. As an institution, our mission is to foster insight, elevate regional voices, address complex and sometimes contentious challenges, engage in creative problem solving, and help deliver real solutions for the benefit of all. As a global network of centres, we actively collaborate with our partners across Asia and the world. Art and culture are core business for the Asia Society. It's core to our mission. And the Asia Arts Game Changer Awards in India is a signature program for us that pays tribute to artists and arts professionals who have made significant contributions to the development of modern contemporary art across Asia. And also for those who have inspired a deeper empathy and understanding of the world through their own artistic and creative work. In trying times, it's become more important than ever to stand in support and solidarity with one another. So thank you all for joining us this evening as we honour three incredible artists from across South Asia today: Hamra Abbas, Jyoti Bhatt and Sohrab Hura. I wish the Asia Society India Centre all the very best, and I hope you all have a great night together.
Thank you, Mr. Rudd. I now invite Michelle Yoon Mapplethorpe, Vice President for Global Artistic Programs and Director of the Asia Society Museum in New York, to say a few words about Asia Society's global initiatives in the arts.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Yoon Mapplethorpe, and I'm Vice President for Global Artistic Programs and Director of the Asia Society Museum here in New York. I'm delighted to welcome you all to the Asia Society Asia Arts Game Changer Awards India. Normally, I'd be in India for this gala, meeting with so many friends in the arts who are with us tonight, and getting a chance to interact with our wonderful honorees. And while participating long distance is not the same, I'm delighted that this virtual format has enabled us to welcome more people to our celebration this year, including colleagues from across South Asia and the South Asian diaspora. The Asia Society Museum has presented over 300 exhibitions of traditional, modern, and contemporary Asian American art since first exhibition opened in 1960. And for more than 30 years, Asia Society has been a pioneer in identifying and fostering contemporary Asian artists and engaging new audiences for their work. I'd like to take a couple of minutes now to share a little bit about the museum's exciting initiatives. Our robust exhibition program currently features the inaugural Asia Society Triennial, which is on view at Asia Society Museum and select locations across New York City through June 27, 2021. The Triennial is the first multidisciplinary initiative of its kind in the United States that champions the contemporary arts from and about Asia in the diaspora. This inaugural edition features more than 40 artists, including Hamra Abbas, who we're honoring this evening, working across disciplines from more than 20 countries. I invite you all to come for a visit, and for those of you who are not able to travel to New York, a virtual tour of the exhibition is available on the Asia Society Triennial website. Asia Society at the Movies is an ongoing series of film screenings and conversations showcasing a broad range of films and filmmakers from across Asia and the Asian diaspora. The initiative celebrates established and emerging voices, contemporary films and classics, and also documentaries. The series strives to deepen understanding of Asian cultures, which is a core part of Asia Society's mission since our inception. Our Arts and Museum Summit, hosted every 2 years, brings together museum and cultural leaders from across Asia, the United States, and Europe as a means to enable an open forum for exchange of capacity-building knowledge and cutting-edge ideas relating to the arts of Asia. Our next summit, organized in conjunction with our Asia Society Australia Centre, will be a virtual event held this November that focuses on issues relating to decolonization, repatriation, and inclusion. And finally, our Asia Arts Game Changer Awards is our signature event that allows us an opportunity to recognize and honor some of the most influential artists at a time when their voices have become a vital reminder of our shared humanity. On May 5th, we presented the New York edition of the awards, which honored Dr. Uli Sig, Parviz Tanavoli, Zarina in Memoriam, and Zhang Huan. Tonight, we're so excited to commemorate the India edition of these awards, marking their milestone 5th edition. My heartiest congratulations to all the awardees and to my colleagues at the Asia Society India Center on their respective achievements. I thank you all for supporting the Asia Society India Center's annual flagship convening in the arts and to our ongoing work in the field. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. It now gives me great pleasure to invite Sangita Jindal, co-chair for the Asia Arts Game Changer Awards India, and one of India's leading arts patrons and collectors, to introduce the first award category.
Thank you, Rashmi. I welcome you all to the 5th edition of the Asia Arts Game Changers Award 2021. It has been my pleasure to be associated with the award since its inception in 2017. And I have watched the event grow to become a flagship annual cultural program for the Asia Society India Centre. As Inakshi mentioned, the gala would have taken place in the freezing Delhi winter, an opportunity to meet friends from around the world. But this year, keeping the present circumstances in mind, we made a conscious decision to host a virtual ceremony. The pandemic has been a difficult time for everybody, and it is important now more than ever for the art world to come together and support each other any way we can. We stand shoulder to shoulder with each other, and we shall tide over this crisis together. This is an occasion, I believe, for all of us to extend a helping hand and support those in need. The digital medium has enabled us to bring in a wider audience of art communities from across the world. And we are especially excited to be able to transcend geographies and acknowledge the amazing work of Jyoti Bhatt, Hamra Abbas, and Sohrab Hura, artists whose work I have known and engaged with for some years. I am delighted to begin the felicitation ceremony by introducing our Asia Arts Future Awards category. Every year, this award is presented to 2 groundbreaking artists or arts organizations which enable a deeper understanding of the region to the people of Asia and beyond. In previous years, we have honored Abir Karmakar, Team Lab, Benita Percial, the Kochi Biennale Foundation, Sun Tsung, Bibha Galotra, Yang Yonglian, Prabhakar Pachpute, and Tiffany Chung. This year, it is with pride that we turn the spotlight on South Asia by recognizing Hamra Abbas from Pakistan and Sohrab Hura from India, two artists who have gone beyond the convention of media and discipline to build an exceptionally diverse body of work over the past few years. They represent the future of contemporary art from Asia, and today we celebrate their achievements in their field. This is an opportunity for all of us to reconnect and reach out to the art world. Stand up for each other, secure yourself, protect others, and stay safe. Time will come so that we can all be together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Jindal. The Durjoy Bangladesh Foundation Asia Arts Future Awardee for 2021 is Sohrab Hura from India. A photographer and filmmaker, Hura's work lies at the intersection of film, photography, sound, and text. By constantly experimenting with form and using a journal-like approach, many of his works attempt to question a constantly shifting world and his place within it. His work has been showcased at several galleries and festivals in India and internationally. Sohrab now lives and works in New Delhi. Let's catch a short video of his work.
The sound of the cage crashing to the ground tore through the house. The crow had escaped. A light came on, and on the bed Madhu tottered from left to right, trying to find her head. Her hands clasped at the smooth top of her torso, her fingers feeling for any trace of a stump of her head, before falling still for a moment and then again repeating the motion, frantically. Even now she kept forgetting that she did not have a head. It had already been a year. An obsessive lover had stolen it, while she had fallen asleep to the rumble of the waves outside. She should have seen it coming.
I first learned about Sohrab's work through his books. I had the pleasure of participating on the jury for the Aperture Perry Photo Book Awards one year, and Sohrab's was one of the books. Look, It's Getting Sunny Outside. Another of Sohrab's books, The Coast, won. I also, maybe just shortly after that time of getting to know Sohrab's book, some friends had seen one of Sohrab's videos, an early version of The Lost Head and the Bird. You know, from our very first emails that we exchanged, I just got a sense of how generous he is with the way he gets into each work, telling anecdotes.
To me, something that distinguishes Sohrab Hura's photography is that it spans the familiar and the unfamiliar, and it constantly shifts the ground between the two.
During his first solo, I was a little late to the opening, and there was a big sort of a queue and many people outside, and I thought there was a fire or something. And then I said, no, can I please enter? And people made way for me. And I thought I'm going to solve a problem that might have happened inside, but it was only because there were way too many people inside, and the people who were waiting outside were waiting to enter.
He says he imagines himself, or you can imagine his process to be one where he's finding himself in a dark room with nothing to see and nothing to identify the room other than tentative touching or feeling the room in the way he's actively pushing the viewer to engage with photography, not just in a two-dimensional format, but in a sonic way, in a way that one is hearing the photograph or reading the photograph. And he's breaking all those parameters with which we define photography with.
I had the great experience of working with Sohrab on an exhibition here at MoMA that was realized online. So here you see a crop of one of Sohrab's pictures from the series The Song of Sparrows in 100 Days of Summer, which was made with the village of Patti that he went back to again and again. In this picture, you really get a sense of the experience of living in that place, the heat, the particular quality of the air. In that project, we juxtapose pictures from this series with another series, Snow, a more recent body of work that Sohrab made in Kashmir. Though they were completely different, made in two different parts, the folks in each that were pictured in each series were living in two different sets of circumstances. But despite all those differences, there was this relationship between the two.
Another thing that we can't miss is extreme humility and a constant need to build a community, which reflects in the current, his most recent project, curatorial endeavor called Growing Like a Tree.
So when we invited Sohrab to curate an exhibition here at Ishara almost 8-9 months ago, there was an initial reluctance. But there was an interesting moment when we were here in this space together. Most of the show was already laid out in our heads. And seeing the heavy walls of Ishara, he was like, wow, this is very serious.
He's also talked about actually his work like a tree, and I love this metaphor from which there are multiple branches and then multiple smaller branches and then leaves, and they all come back and are related to one another through his work. There's a beautiful image from the Song of Sparrows of someone in a tree that always conjures that description of his work that he's made.
Throughout, there's a directness in his approach, but also a certain ambiguity, and even at times a deliberate blurring between fact and fiction. And this partly results from the awareness of the power he yields as an image maker.
Thank you, Asia Society, for the Asia Arts Game Changer Award, India. I want to thank Vidhi, Joshua, Uma, Aman, Shivani, Priyanka, Pratik from Experimenter who've been taking care of my work, and they've made it much easier for me to do whatever I want to do. And also a big thanks to countless number of people who've either nurtured or challenged my work and practice right from the start and also along the way. I think I'm lucky to be part of a much larger network of people who've never really let me feel alone in this journey. And it also in a way feels weird to be acknowledged as a game changer, because I feel like there are many other people out there who have much more at stake than me in all of this. And so I want to actually take this opportunity to thank all those who've been taking great risks to question the larger system that we exist in, to make it more inclusive and safe, and both publicly and anonymously. So thank you.
Congratulations, Sohrab. And thank you to the Durjoy Bangladesh Foundation for supporting this award. I hope you're all continuing to engage with our little chat box, giving our honorees some encouragement. Our next Asia Arts Future awardee is Hamra Abbas from Pakistan. Abbas is an interdisciplinary artist known for her diverse practice that ranges from marble inlay sculptures and miniature silk paintings to color and light installations. Abbas has used Mughal architecture, religious vernacular iconography, and portraiture to address notions of cultural memory, sexuality, and faith. Her recent works largely focus on the image of a garden and aesthetics of devotion to question the ideals of truth and perfection. After having lived for many years in Berlin and Boston, her recent move back to Lahore has greatly influenced her work. Here's a short clip depicting Hamra's philosophy and practice.
When Hamra Abbas speaks, it is as though she is almost bursting, as though each word she says triggers two more she needs to say.
I've been following Hamra Abbas's work, and it's a tiring process trying to keep up with Hamra's curiosity.
She had created this incredible series called God Grows on Trees, which was a series of 99 miniature portraits of children in madrasas.
And those children also are painted just like the male figures in place labor capital, where their faces are extracted from the context in which they are, and their faces are only there in this hyper-realist, very well acutely observed manner.
I am often reminded by her work of the Sufi notion of transcendence. I am reminded also of Douglas Adams, who writes that the secret to flying is throwing yourself at the ground and missing.
One of the really wonderful things about working with Hamra is that she doesn't let technology, budget, the laws of gravity, or any other sort of minor inconvenience stand in the way of a project.
Whenever I used to go to college, I always found her working and producing, and I think there is something kind of a strange force within herself.
She opened black up for me, showing me that black can be made out of 3 colors, and that from these 3 colors can be made every color.
What she found during Kaaba Picture as a misprint, during that process, was that the Kaaba was often shown in different colors. Of course, the Kaaba in Mecca is usually covered with a black curtain called a kiswa. Then this got her thinking, so what is it? What is the Kaaba? How can I represent it in its most fundamental forms where it's still recognizable as a Kaaba? She would then break up this cube into different colors. Kaaba Picture as a misprint was the series of prints that she did based on this principle, that there's no such thing as an unresolvable icon.
The work, I think, is fascinating for 2 reasons. That she is asking us to obviously think about how we see, but also think about how we see and how we misconceive certain images of Islam.
I think one of the most personal works, which I really related to, was a work called Place, Labour, Capital. And, it's a story of migration, of movement.
And what's intriguing and fascinating is that she actually taught herself to paint these portraits in a Chinese painting style called Gongbi, which has really interesting parallels to a painting style that she is also very well versed in, which is the Mughal or the miniature painting technique.
I just found her whole productive research and retraining and relearning of a skill. It's an incredible artist who can do something like that.
It's been such a great pleasure to collaborate with Hamra Abbas, our honoree this evening, on the inaugural Asia Society Triennial. Hamra participated in part 1 of this first edition of the Triennial through the inclusion of her series Every Color from 2020, which is 10 portraits of members from the LGBTQ community in Lahore. We had first become interested in Hamra's work in the late aughts, and she was included in the transformative landmark exhibition Hanging Fire, Contemporary Art from Pakistan that Asia Society hosted in 2009.
The materiality has played a huge part in her journey. Earlier, she was working with fiberglass, molding, casting. Then she turned to light boxes, which have their own limitations. Along with that, she's working with material marble.
I can think of the work that she did, which won her the Abraj Prize. It was called Woman in Black, which she translated into this sort of large-scale stained glass windows and depicting a scene that was inspired by an actual siege against a mosque in Islamabad.
She's very rooted. If you look at her work, it's about unity, it's about bringing people together.
Hamra's involvement with iconography and symbology is something which I find absolutely fascinating. In the world around us, we're surrounded by symbols, and they have a kind of power over us. And this is something which she explores in a very subtle way.
She looks at people on the fringes of society and seeks to present them in her own way.
The wormholes of Hamra's work often seem to function upon me like this, changing my perspective while I am stationary, changing my sense of stationary until I am perspective.
Hello. First, I would like to thank Asia Society for this wonderful honor. I am extremely happy to receive this award. It is a little unfortunate to have to do this virtually because of the travel restrictions right now and miss the opportunity to meet friends from across the border. Nevertheless, I feel connected in spirit and hope for other possibilities of exchange to emerge in the future. I would also like to thank everyone that I worked with over the years and people who have supported me through my journey and always made it very rewarding. Thank you.
Congratulations, Hamra. And now, as we move towards our final award for this evening, I'm really excited to invite Dr. Pheroza Godrej, co-chair for the Asia Arts Game Changer Awards India and a seminal figure in the Indian art world. Dr. Godrej will introduce the Vanguard Award category and tell us more about Asia Society India Centre's Special Artist Portfolio.
Thank you, Rashmi, and good evening, everyone. My name is Pheroza Godrej, and I thank you all for being here with us today. Congratulations to the Asia Arts Future awardees, Hamra Abbas and Sohrab Hura, a truly well-deserved award. To echo my fellow co-chair, Sangita, I have been associated with the awards since they began, and indeed it is a moment of pride to see it reach its level today. The moment is surreal, however, as we host this program amidst an unprecedented health crisis in India. My thoughts and prayers are with those in the front line of this battle who are working tirelessly to ensure that we remain safe. At such a time, it is important that we come together to support each other and sustain the arts community in any way that we can. As such, Asia Society India Centre has put together a beautiful limited edition portfolio featuring a thoughtful selection of signed prints by esteemed artists including Arpita Singh, Ghulam Muhammad Sheikh, Abhir Karmarkar, Benitha Persial, Prabhakar Pachpute, and Vibha Galotra. It's been fittingly curated around the theme of The Absent Year, and the portfolio has been conceptualized by Abhay Sardesai, editor of Art India magazine, and designed by Riya Mehta, founder of the Experimental Box. I would like to thank all our artist patrons and Abhay and Riya for their generous contribution and enthusiasm in putting this together. The proceeds of the portfolio will support Asia Society's global arts and cultural initiatives and an organization, Creative Dignity, that is doing incredible work to support India's artisan community in the wake of the COVID-19 crisis. Their focus is to provide immediate relief as well as rehabilitate and rejuvenate the sector in a sustainable manner. We will now watch a short video about Creative Dignity.
Hi, this is Meera Buradia. I'm one of the co-founders of Creative Dignity, along with a group of us who came together last year in 2020 as a COVID support group for the artisan sector. We realized that they were equally affected, being part of the informal economy since markets had collapsed. And as we got together to figure out ways to support them, we realized that it was also a moment for us to recognize that for the first time, so many diverse stakeholders in the ecosystem had come together. Designers, architects, NGOs, artisan groups, cooperatives, and it was truly a reflection of the diversity and richness of the sector. It was also a moment for us to understand that this could be an opportunity for us to bring forth the untapped potential of the sector. Artisans being the unknown, unrecognized artists of our society, neglected, but having the vast potential to cut across and straddle worlds of art, design and manufacture. We began with relief and quickly moved to giving them a digital space and skills to navigate it, perhaps for the first time. With the COVID second wave, we are back to relief, but we realize that we have to take a long-term approach. And our approach now is to develop artisan youth leaders or champions, as we call them, in each cluster, to take ownership for COVID prevention, to train them, to equip them, but also to move to future entrepreneurship and preparation for servicing their clusters, for taking on several roles that will help them navigate the changes happening in society, in markets and mind shifts. We are really grateful to the Asia Society for stepping in to support our efforts because there is a lot of resonance with what you do and what we are trying to do.
There are a limited number of portfolios still available for sale. So I urge you all who are gathered here tonight to follow the link in the chat box and support Asia Society and Creative Dignity. And now moving on to our final award category, the Asia Society Arts Vanguard Award. Each year this award is presented to a senior visual artist who has been a pioneer in their generation and a mentor to other artists. Through their work, the Asia Arts Vanguards have made an indelible mark on the development of modern and contemporary art and have represented Asia on the global cultural map. Our previous awardees have included Kishan Khanna, Arpita Singh, Ghulam Muhammad Sheikh, Vivan Sundaram and the late Akbar Padamsee. I am absolutely delighted to add Jyoti Bhatt to this eminent list as he receives the Kiran Nadar Museum of Art Asia Arts Vanguard Award this year. Congratulations, Bhatsa, and I wish you all the very, very best. And now Rekha Radwitya, his longtime mentee and my old friend, will introduce him further. Thank you all once again for being here tonight, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is with the greatest of joy that we are all here today, connected through technology and in real time, to celebrate an artist whose life and work holds teaching that generations of creative people have been impacted by, and whose significance will live on in perpetuity within history as one of India's most iconic artists ever. For me as his student, and someone who cannot imagine my education absent of his imprint, I feel humbled to be introducing this towering personality who has bequeathed to us a legacy of art that is both powerful and precious. Padma Shri Jyoti Bhatt was born in the small town of Bhavnagar in Gujarat in 1934 and grew up influenced by his father's Gandhian philosophy. It was the time of reconfiguring our nation's energies to address ideals of liberty and freedom. And it is within this history that this young boy's imagination took shape to guide his future engagement and belonging through the process of his adult life. He was exposed during his school years to interactions with artists like Ravi Shankar Raval and Jagubai Shah, who introduced him to publications on art and to images of Ajanta and the murals of Nandalal Bose. We see the sensitivity of his perceptions in a painting he did when he was 12 years old, where he paints an image that references the reality of a lower caste Dalit man, having to proclaim his presence to the upper castes so as to avoid polluting them even in passing. Therefore, when he came to Baroda in 1950 to enroll into an art college, he wasn't the normal, typical schoolboy from a small town who came untutored in the knowledge of art and its history, or ignorant of the complexities of a new emerging nation. What we are privy to through this peephole into his past is Jyoti Bhatt's understanding of the power of a visual language and the potency that art offers as a space of communication. Baroda became his second home when he arrived in the city to study painting in 1950 at the Faculty of Fine Arts of the Maharaja Sayaji Rao University at the tender age of 16. He studied under the erstwhile tutelage of N.S. Bendre, K.G. Subramanian, and Shankar Chowdhury, whom he acknowledges as being the gurus who guided his aesthetic learning during his years as an art student. He then joined his alma mater in 1959 to devote much of his life to being a teacher. However, though the demands of teaching 6 days a week were grueling, this man of many curiosities addressed his responsibilities of being an educator by recognizing that in fact to be an effective teacher, it would require him to grow as an artist simultaneously. A widely traveled artist, he received scholarships in the early years of his career, which were hard to come by in those days, that took him to Europe and America for further studies as a mature student. In 1962, he became a founder member of Group 1890, which was a highly influential collective of Indian artists. Jyoti Bai, as he is fondly referred to, has a curriculum vitae that is way too expansive to abbreviate. Besides working within the territory of painting and being extensively engaged with printmaking and digital media, he is an internationally acclaimed photographer whose archival material of the living traditions of tribal and rural visual art is a documentation of historic significance. His artistic achievements run into pages. Besides his artistic prowess, he has been a commentator on cultural practices through his essays and articles published in vernacular and English periodicals that he used to painstakingly handwrite, often with passages in both Gujarati and English comfortably coexisting within his initial drafts. His art has been exhibited extensively in India and abroad, and his artworks are in public and private collections, as well as documented and historicized in 6 monographs and other important publications. He is a recipient of national and international awards, including the Padma Shri, the Kalidasa Award, an honorary doctorate, and 5 Lifetime Achievement Awards. However, despite all these accolades, Jyoti Bai the artist does not seek for recognition or fame or the desire for his work to be coveted. To be presented within the White Cube or the museum holds no great fascination for this master, because he views the premise of creating art as a journey about knowing himself. He credits being a photographer and a teacher to what obliged him to hold an openness to inquiries, which taught him many lessons of life from both the rural territories of existence to urban metro city life that informed him about the social and cultural diversities that contributes to the heritage of India. Jyoti Bai insists that his friendships with his peers has taught him a great deal too. Relationships that he holds great value to and which are emotionally deeply invested in. However, it is his relationship with his partner, Jyoti Bhatt, who was one of India's leading ceramicists, that has been his most cherished friendship of all. The involvement with the creating of an artwork has held his focus and attention above all else, always delighting in finding new materials and methods to articulate his art practice. His love of drawing in sketchbooks got taken over when the camera became the tool through which he could capture his observations with greater accuracy. His numerous and continuous experimentations within his works have resulted in the breaking down of many stereotyped categories and contributed to a changing perception in how we view materials and process within any artwork. Past practices often made categories of separation such as printmaking, painting, photography, etc. However, in the case of Jyoti Bai, there is a fluidity that he deliberately interjects when making visuals, smudging the boundaries till they are too blurred to be insisted upon. For example, a photograph he takes serves both as an aesthetic object as well as an important documentation to archive. His paintbrush has wandered over etching prints, and the bromide print has become affixed to the surface of a canvas, and the ink pen or ballpoint has scribbled over a seemingly pristine drawing. These interventions are born from his deeply felt need to engage with new areas of acquiring knowledge. Perhaps the quiet rebel in him did not easily conform to the comfort of belonging either, because at a time when most artists of his generation were aligning themselves with particular positions that dealt with affiliations to either Western or Eastern influences within their vocabulary as artists in the 50s and 60s, Jyoti Bhatt doesn't do that. Instead, his position is to view both these territories as historical ancestries that accommodate him, where he operates as a visual artist ahead of his time in many ways, presenting a language construct during the modernist era that is a doorway, in fact, to a postmodernist articulation, making this subversive manner of dealing with established languages the key to reflecting his politics both as an artist and as an educator. What he offers within his language over these years is an elaborate lexicon of symbols that incorporates pop references as well as Sanskrit shlokas, and presents itself as a parable of complexities, a hybridity culled from diverse influences that can be viewed as a new age mandala that evokes the conundrum of life. Today, he once again reinvents his approach. The computer and its software applications offer him a process and a method by which to revisit his own database of images and artworks as a visual dictionary from which to renegotiate and create from. His desire is to also use this technology as it offers access to his work to a larger audience at affordable prices. This at a time when his work is so sought after by private collectors and museums reflects the true nature of this quiet man brought up in the traditions of a Gandhian philosophy. Shri Jyoti Bhatt has offered India a contribution as a cultural practitioner that is immeasurable. And so it comes as no surprise to all of us that the Asia Society India Centre sees it befitting to bestow upon him the Asia Arts Vanguard Award 2021. In this celebration of Jyoti Bhatt today, let us now have the privilege of viewing this great artist's work in a short video presentation.
I first saw Jyoti Bhatt's diptychs of nature and landscape. What was remarkable to me was, as a painter, he had really understood what the photographic eye was. His portraits, the 2¼ portraits of his fellow artists, very attuned to using the 2¼ camera.
There's a really lovely picture of Bhupen Kakkar napping in a park in Baroda. There's photos of Nasreen Mohammadi.
There's this particular work called Chashmi Badur, which is a pink print that just has multiple images of bifocals and then an image of Hussein wearing it. And I asked him why he chose to represent MF Hussein, and he said, oh, because, his glasses were so nice and fashionable.
He's very committed to the different kinds of visual culture that exist in the country. And he makes often very humorous images as a result. Something that I'm thinking of is a really striking image, and I think it's taken around the 1980s, in which you see a communist hammer and sickle painted on the wall of a hut somewhere in rural India. But right under it is a goat that's just standing there. And so there's something in it that kind of connotes a kind of political satire. But I think it's also about how the kinds of images that you would see on the walls of India are changing.
I think there are really two directions of his photography. One was his huge archival project of documenting some of the folk and rural traditions from around the country. And the other side of things was his experimental approach and how he wanted to use the medium to really kind of experiment and explore the limitations and sort of boundaries of what it could do.
Different motifs, different styles, different snippets of a particular photograph will show up at various points across his career. And so something that he does in the late 60s, for example, is a motif that he calls a face. And it's a negative of a peacock combined with the positive stencil of a face. And you see it across years and years of his practice. It turns up in an exhibition that he and his fellow photographer staged called Painters with a Camera. It turns up in a 1971 annual exhibition of the Dalit Kala Academy, where he manages to sneak this print in. And so he's really exploring the interface of photography as a form of printmaking.
Printmaking was something that he developed when he was at the Rockefeller Fellowship in New York. He used to do accurate drawings of the machines so that when he came back to Baroda, he would know how to get them reproduced. That is the kind of man he was, somebody who went the whole way as far as technique goes.
Photography wasn't considered as much of a medium of fine art as it was back in the day, as it was just a medium of documentation and research that artists use. And he really changed that. His gelatin photos, I believe, are all at MAP.
Before this collection came to MAP, it was incredibly well documented and archived and organized by him. All the negatives carry dates, information, and notes which correspond to prints and contact sheets. Even his diaries themselves correlate to these photographs and are incredible documents to his life's work.
And you see these wonderful connections between what he was writing about in his journals, what you see in his prints and in his paintings, and then these same ideas kind of transisting into his photographs.
MAP's task has been to find the best way of making sure that we preserve this through the conservation practices and the work of our lab, and to make it available to the public by presenting it on our website, all of which we have planned in our opening show at MAP, which will be a retrospective on his photographic work. It's one of the true highlights of the MAP collection and something we are very humbled to be the guardians of.
He really, really cares about people having accessibility. In 2019, Gallery Arc had, together with Jyoti Bhatt, launched a limited edition portfolio of 5 photographs and 5 of his old artwork images that we called reincarnations. I was with him and I had this debate wherein he was like, perhaps I didn't have the resources, so I said 20 editions. Now I have the resources and it's my image and all of those are sold. Why can't I print more? What if you were an actor and you made a beautiful movie and you got paid for it, but I said that only 300 people would be allowed to see this film. Would you be okay with that? To this date, his etchings and prints are priced lower than some of the emerging artists.
I do remember having 2 very distinctly long conversations with him. One was about the camera and the other was about Fevicol. There's a very interesting attachment he had with this white glue, because when he was in Italy, it just was invented. And then he brought back quantities of it with him when he came back. And by then, Fevicol was launched. So in a way, all his troubles were a little wasted. And he would be the first person to admit it with a great self-deprecating laugh that I made that stupid mistake or something like that. But he was very, very interested, and he was one of the first people who used extensively that material in his artwork.
As a young artist, whenever I was confused about some technical point, it would be Jyoti Bhatt whom one would sort of go to.
He was very non-intrusive. He definitely had his ideas, but he was not imposing them on you, and he would allow you to do your stuff. If you went to him with a question, then you could expect a very detailed answer from him, and which I think was a great quality.
If one were to write a history of the Faculty of Fine Arts in Baroda, it could not be done without some kind of engagement with Jyoti Bhatt. I think in many ways that while the spirit of the Baroda Faculty of Fine Arts is very difficult to define, that Jyoti Bhatt is perhaps its finest ambassador.
Good evening. I sincerely thank you all for attending this award function. As I have written something to tell you, but as I cannot read myself, I will ask my young artist friend N. Divya to please read it for me. Divya.
I am deeply appreciative to the authorities and to all the members at Asia Society who have chosen me for this award. I am reminded of an evening many years ago in 1966 when I was invited by the Asia Society for the opening of an exhibition of Indian art in New York. Even though I was just an art student studying there, they honored me with the courtesy of being introduced at the event to Mrs. Jacqueline Kennedy as an artist representing India. Once again, this award bestows upon me a similar honor, to place my name as being of significance within the cultural context of my country. It was a humbling moment then, as it is today, and I thank you all for the belief that you invest in me. I'm always a little apprehensive when the spotlight comes too close to me. Recently, a reporter from a Gujarati news channel had asked me how I felt about receiving this award. As I have been watching the T20 IPL cricket matches, I responded that I am feeling like a batsman who has hit a six on the last ball of his last innings. It would be remiss on my part not to remember with gratitude all that I have learned from my school teachers, especially my art teacher, Sri Jagubai Shah. I would also like to thank my many well-wishing friends whose contribution is significant in shaping me by providing their continuous support, guidance, and affection. Though it is not possible to name all those who have instructed me, I would particularly want to thank my teachers from the Faculty of Fine Arts, Baroda, Professors Markan Bhatt, N.S. Bendre, Shanko Chowdhury, and K.G. Subramanian, who were all like parents to me. No individual's journey is ever absent of the camaraderie of special kinships. Kishore Parekh, Bhupendra Karya, Raghu Rai, J. Swaminathan, Himmat Shah, and Raghav Kaneria have been amongst my closest friends, and from whom I learned so many lessons about life and art and friendship. In the 3 decades of being a teacher, I have also learned from the students in equal measure to what I may have taught them. Their thirst for knowledge kept me alert and opened up my own world to new thoughts and ideas. With all of them too, I share the joy of this award. I will always remain, even in the next incarnations if there are any, indebted to the most important, caring, and loving support that I've had through my life, from my parents, my wife and partner, Jyotsna, and my daughter, Jai, who have kept me alive and active. I dedicate this award to them. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations, Jyoti sir. I would now like to invite Radhika Chopra, co-chair for the Asia Arts Game Changer Awards, a collector and an avid supporter of the arts and culture initiatives of South Asia, to say a few words.
Thank you, Rashmi. Hello, everyone. My name is Radhika Chopra, and I'm co-chair of the Asia Arts Game Changer Awards India 2021 with Sangita and Pheroza. As a leading global organization working to enhance creative dialogue, encourage creative expression, and generate new ideas across the field of arts and culture and beyond, Asia Society's mission has always been one that's aligned with my passions. My association with the Society actually began back in the 90s when I interned with them in New York. It has been wonderful to see this platform grow into the global institution it is today, and I'm privileged to have been a part of the India Center's journey over the past 14 years. As others before me have mentioned, we're going through an extremely challenging time, particularly so for artists, artisans, and the arts ecosystem across South Asia. The artworks showcased in Asia Society's print portfolio on the absent year that Pheroza introduced earlier aptly capture these nuances and emotions. As a member of this community, it has been a period of despair and uncertainty, and in times like these, it is art that actually helped to keep many of us afloat, bringing us solace and healing, connecting us even as we remain disconnected and reminding us of our shared humanity. It is our responsibility then to recognize the moment we're in and introspect about our role as citizens, institutions, and members of the art world as we move forward. On behalf of the co-chairs, Pheroza, Sangita, and myself, I would like to offer our deepest congratulations once again to the 3 awardees for 2021, Jyoti Bhatt, Hamra Abbas, and Sohrab Hura. A special thank you to the participants, partners, and benefactors that have supported this initiative. And finally, thank you to our wonderful audience for tuning in from around the world to be a part of this special evening. I hope the next time we get together will be in a physical setting at a better, more optimistic time. Until then, stay safe. Good night.
Thank you, Radhika. This brings us to the end of the Asia Arts Game Changer Awards India 2021 Virtual Gala. I hope you all had a good evening. On behalf of the Asia Society, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the 2021 honorees, Sohrab Hura, Hamra Abbas and Jyoti Bhatt, the co-chairs Sangita Jindal, Pheroza Godrej and Radhika Chopra, and the entire Asia Society family, including the Arts Committee, Asia Society's global members, patrons and sponsors for their continued support. This memorable virtual gala would not have been possible without our arts and culture partner, Bloomberg Philanthropies, and our streaming and media partner, Harkat Studios. A big shout out to Karan Talwar, Shiba Alexander and Tanya Dikshit from Harkat Studios for their endless patience and dedication. Asia Society is a membership-based educational organization, and your patronage would be invaluable to them. If you wish to know more about membership and how you can support the India Center, click on the link in the chat box. To end the evening on a note of hope, we have Sonam Kalra performing a special rendition of Alfat. For those of you joining the VIP lounge, you may now join the private link for the lounge. Thank you, stay safe and good night.
In my soul, there is a temple, a shrine, a church, a mosque that dissolve in God. The next piece I will perform echoes these thoughts, which are perhaps even more relevant today than ever before. The words of 17th century Sufi poet Baba Bulle Shah remind us of an age-old truth, one we need to stress upon and live by. He says, मेरे गुरु ने मुझे एक नुक्ता पढ़ाया है कि मेरा काबा, मेरा किबला, मेरा मस्जिद, मेरा मंदिर किसी चार दीवारी में नहीं है, मेरे दिल के अंदर है और मेरे साथ बैठे इंसान के दिल के अंदर है. My teacher has taught me a wonderful lesson, that my temple, my shrine, my church, my mosque is not within the four walls of a building, but within the walls of my heart and within the heart of every person I see. And now that I have this knowledge, I am free from the shackles of ritual and religion, and I will wear my ankle bells and dance because I know I can see God in every person. When I composed this, we brought in elements from across borders, Punjabi poetry, a Persian refrain, Irish music, bluegrass influences, and Rajasthani and Punjabi sounds, to put forth, through the music, this very important message of inclusion. We used traditional instruments in a modern way, the sarangi as the fiddle, the bansuri played like the Irish flute, breaking the rigid rules that we create for ourselves. We used music to show that one faith, one thought, one genre can seamlessly flow into the other, and that many different thoughts and beliefs can exist in a larger sense, in harmony. So join me in celebration as we conclude this evening on this note of togetherness with my piece, Alfat.
अल्फतेन बिनोन बिनैन बिन नुक्ता यार पढ़ाया, 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 नुक्ता यार पढ़ाया सानू राजू शब्द सिखाया, नुक्ता यार पढ़ाया सानू राजू शब्द सिखाया, अल्फतेन बिनोन बिनैन बिन नुक्ता यार पढ़ाया, अल्फतेन बिनोन बिनैन बिन नुक्ता यार पढ़ाया, नुक्ता यार पढ़ाया सानू राजू शब्द सिखाया, नुक्ता यार पढ़ाया सानू राजू शब्द सिखाया, अल्फतेन बिनोन बिनैन बिन नुक्ता यार पढ़ाया, अल्फतेन बिनोन बिनैन बिन नुक्ता यार पढ़ाया। अल्फतेन बिनोन बिन बिन नुक्ता यार पढ़ाया अल्फतेन बिनोन बिन नुक्ता यार पढ़ाया अल्फतेन बिनोन बिन नुक्ता यार पढ़ाया अल्फतेन बिनोन बिन नुक्ता यार पढ़ाया कर्मनस्तु अल्लाह 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 कर्मनस्तु अल्लाह।
What an incredible symposium this has been. We had more than 1,000 people registered and participating in the events.
Welcome to our first museum salon. How has the work changed?
The virus is telling us wellness matters, oneness matters.
It is certainly the most serious set of racially motivated protests since 1968.
About the impact of COVID-19 on Asia and on the world.
We're here to discuss racism and xenophobia in the wake of COVID-19.
They give us the opportunity to kind of give the world all these multiple views of who we are.
We went to the Asia Society to help us navigate China.
It's a logistics operation, but organizations like the Asia Society that have been helpful.
I'm just such a strong supporter of the Global Asia Society Network.
I also want to mention how honored I am to be on this panel and so much I've learned already.
Thank you so much to the Asia Society for hosting this. And hopefully I can be as entertaining as the International Monetary Fund guy who's going to speak tomorrow.
I love the Asia Society. I wish we could do this in its beautiful location in New York, but that will have to wait for another day.